following podcast is recorded and produced by the Podcast Precinct in affiliation with the network at bicbp-radio.com. The Podcast Precinct. Consistency, creativity, culture.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Retroactive Sports Podcast, where Johnny Townsend and I talk about sports history.
That's right, Andrew Lenz. That's right. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I'm just going to get comfortable here. Oh, man, I'm going to take off these shoes and these socks. Letting these toesies breathe. You know what I was thinking I should do now that I'm barefoot? I think I should go kick a football.
That's the best thing to do, I would have to say. Because that, if you didn't read today's episode, it is all about the barefoot kickers of the NFL.
That's right. The kickers in the NFL who went out, hunted down all the grizzly bears, took their feet, and proceeded to use those. That's why it's a big controversy, but we're covering it today.
To kick the field goals.
The right to bear kicks, one of the most sacred rights in America today. To this day, you can still, if you want to, they just don't do it anymore in the NFL for some reason, but you are allowed to go hunting, find yourself a bear, cut off its feet, and use those bare feet.
But you can't use like the store-bought slipper ones. Can't. That's not.
No, you got to hunt it yourself. You got to put in the work.
But anybody that's not familiar with this was a giant fad in the 80s. Like,
I've been called a giant fad before. Well, instead of the D, there's a T there.
But you were born in the 80s too. So there you go.
I am a giant fad. Yeah.
But yes, this was a trend that was developed in the 80s. Because sports, as we know it, is always changing. There's evolutions, some for the good, some for the bad, some weird, some stick around for years, decades, throughout the whole entire span of that sport. But the barefoot kicker was just pretty much the 80s.
Yeah, this seems like it would hurt.
Now, you're not a big NFL fan or anything like that. Now, when I sent you that little clip, were you like thinking, what the hell are these guys doing?
I think I was more intrigued than anything else. It's just more of first of all, in today's day and age, just people just blatantly showing their feet in this era of foot fetishness just blew me away.
Because I've seen many fans.
Yes. That's the new NFL OnlyFans account. It's these barefoot kickers.
The barefoot
showing their feet.
Show me your bruise. How swollen is it?
Look at this swollen big toe. If that don't get you off, nothing will.
No. NFL OnlyFans here. Only high class on this show, folks.
That's right. That's right. But yeah, I was more intrigued than anything. It was just sort of fascinating. Because it says a fad. They really, in that video you sent me, it was like a NFL Films video, little short. They kind of highlighted maybe 3 guys, I think, if I'm thinking correct. 2 especially.
Yeah, because there was only, I think, because that was like the fad and the trend.
Yeah.
Those were the 3 guys that I remember when they talked about it. Those were the 3 main guys. A lot of people probably tried it just to say, hey, I don't want to make fun of anybody because I definitely could not kick a football like these guys.
Oh, I can't either. Yeah.
Hey, I'm kind of a crappy kicker. I'm just going to try this. I'm going to try making the NFL. Like they talked about, they didn't really mention them. Is the barefoot punters. Like, I don't even want to give you, in a way, like, I don't even want to give you time because that just sounds ridiculous. Because
that sounds like you're just asking to get your foot destroyed by somebody else to me.
Yes, because the evolution of the kick in the NFL was like, hey, let's get the biggest offensive lineman we have.
Yeah. And
And
could
he,
you imagine them just putting all their weight
yeah,
in those shoes they wear on your bare foot?
but like that's how it was in the earlier days. Was even up until geez, probably about the 70s where it really, really changed. But just find like your biggest guy, and he's gonna kick that ball straight on.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, what was it? Pete Gogolak became the first soccer style kicker, where that has changed, where you kick it on the side of your foot, it
Yeah.
goes up and over instead of like I just look like I don't know if you ever seen that stupid yellow toy football thing that used to kick footballs. And they had a basketball one too, and you push down the head and then like the
The
foot.
basketball one I'm very aware of.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the basketball one with the one hand, but there was a
Yeah.
football one where the foot just swung out. So this was kind of supposed to be, I guess, the next evolution of the soccer style kicker, where it's like, and even though there is no scientific proof, like I looked this up and they even said in there and some articles and everything, I think it's just the way that the guys feel. Most of them felt they could get under the ball, eh, closer to where they need to kick it, and then also I don't know how they can move their foot faster. And
Yeah.
it's not a shoe really. It's they wear most kickers wear two shoes today, like one like a really good cleat, and then kind of like one that's like not that great.
A shoo sounds like
Yeah, or shoe.
one of those menu items I wouldn't order at a Japanese
Thanks,
restaurant.
thanks to
I'm
Johnny's.
just going to stick with my teriyaki chicken. Thank you very much. But yeah, the one of the guys I just remember his last name's Franklin. Who is it?
Tony Franklin.
Tony Franklin. Did I mishear when they said he had scored with his bare foot like over 800 points?
Yeah,
Was that right?
yeah.
That's insane to me. That is because he's just kicking field goals. That is how many field goals does that equate to?
Well, you got to field goals and extra points, but
Yeah,
even extra
but
points.
still, that's what like on average, maybe let's just say on average he's getting like 5 to 6 points a game, maybe.
Let's look up Mr. Franklin's stats. Here we go. Go through the good old Matt Johnson Pro Football Reference. So he made 177 field goals and 341 extra points.
Good God, that's impressive.
So that is his career. Okay.
And now he drives a Honda. That's how great he's
He
done.
just randomly works for Honda.
Yeah, he made sure they shield the Honda. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
Not only was he driving an Accord, he's wearing that Honda T-shirt.
Well, and I love it how too they're like oddly enough became the number one selling car in the 80s. And he's kicked 50 plus field goals. Like even in college, it said I think he knocked one that was 60.
Yeah.
So that's gotta hurt.
Yeah. Who do you think is the greatest shoe punter kicker out of all time? I mean, it's obviously Johnny
Greatest
Townsend, right?
kicker of all time.
Yeah.
If I gotta pick, it's probably from what I can remember, is definitely not Scott Norwood. Good knock to my Western New York Bills fans, friends out there. Uh, but probably Adam Vinatieri or Justin Tucker.
Yeah.
Maybe like before Morton Anderson, Gary Anderson. But other than that, probably Justin Tucker, and he's still playing. Like the guy is the most. It sounds horrible that I could say this about a kicker, but he's like the most dangerous kicker. I think he kicked a 68-yard field goal.
Wow. Yeah.
Just I think last year or a couple of years ago. So
Yeah.
just
Johnny Townsend probably kicked a 69 window would be my guess with a great name like that. And I'm also just going to throw this out there. If Jake Delhomme ever decided to kick a football, it would have been the greatest football kick of all time.
Johnny Townsend's a punter.
Yeah, but he kicks the ball, don't he?
Yeah, where is he in the XFL or something? He plays for the Orlando Guardians.
Look at him go. Light the world on fire.
Wow, that's weird. He was born in 95.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
this is the next evolution of you, isn't it?
yeah. I'm sure he's charismatic and everything else like I am. And after his football career, I'm sure he's going to get into podcasting.
Do it. I'm pretty sure everybody has a podcast.
I wish I knew him so that way I could have been like just play a prank on you and just have him show up for this instead of me one time.
Oh, like in the office when they had
Yeah.
Randall Park play Jim.
Yes.
He's like, what are you talking about? This guy did it with accuracy. His field goal percentage is not too bad, Mr. Tony Franklin. But I like how he says that he started with a sock.
Yeah.
So you're like, okay, lose the shoe. I'm gonna go with the sock. And
Yes.
then all of a sudden it's like, you know what? I'm losing the sock. And I'm just gonna go straight barefoot.
Right. Yeah.
And then I like it how because the NFL rules you have to wear socks. So they just cut the sock.
I noticed that. Yeah.
Yeah. Because it's an NFL, it's a funny reason why they have to wear socks in the NFL. Because I believe it was one commissioner didn't like bare legs. He didn't like them showing that part of their leg off. So he said that they all needed to wear long socks to do that.
Was he Amish?
I don't know.
Show that ankle. It's a bit too sexy for me. I grew up in a Mennonite church. We don't do that.
So you mentioned Tony Franklin, my personal favorite, and I, that's I don't know if that's saying much about me. My personal favorite barefoot kicker is Rich Karlis. Played for the
Okay.
Denver Broncos, Vikings. He actually kicked 7 field goals in one game. Made him 7 out of 7 with that barefoot. But he is my favorite because my dad used to do football pulls.
Yeah.
And one time he's like, hey, just pick the team. I didn't know anything about point spreads or anything else, but they needed a field goal to like cover the spread and beat it. And Rich Karlis won me like $50 at,
Whoa.
geez, in 88. So I'm probably
Oh,
like
oh God. If you're a kid, $50 was incredible.
yeah. So I could, well, he won me like $50, and I think I blew it all on pro set football cards that are worth absolutely nothing today that I don't even have anymore. So,
Yeah, that's
but
the life of being a kid, man.
Rich Karlis did that for me. He afforded me the opportunity to go do that. He also, looking at his stats, he made 172 field goals. And this is in 120 games. Tony Franklin, if my computer works with me, played in 140. So Rich Karlis played 20 less. So he made 172 and 283 extra points.
Now, do you think that um since those feet kind of became like gold, right? Do they make sure that this guy kept his foot in the utmost condition? Like,
I
don't you dare do any of this other stuff with his foot. Because in the NBA, for example, they don't allow it's in their contracts. You're not even allowed to jump on a trampoline if you're in the NBA, right?
yeah, in one of the things I was watching, I think one of them had like lotion that they use on like cow udders,
Yeah.
and they would have
Yes. Yeah, he said
yeah,
that.
that
Yeah.
was like the craziest thing. So and then like the other I was wondering it, and then Tony Franklin answered. I'm like, what about your toenails? Because I know a
Yeah.
lot of major league pitchers are they get like pedicures because the way that you got to grip the ball.
Yeah.
So, but they were like, yeah, you want to get, the toenails, you got to make sure they're clipped all the time, rub calluses off. So
Well,
this is
yeah. I mean, even a callus would probably throw off your foot. Like if you're so used to hitting it a certain way, you would think, yeah, that makes sense to me. I mean, even just my in the street playing basketball, I would make sure I clip my fingernails so that way I didn't accidentally scratch somebody really bad, stuff
yeah.
like that.
Uh, but yeah, that was like the one thing that really got to me is that, and then I started thinking, like in Mice of Men, what was his name? The ranch owner's son, who was a boxer and he wanted to keep his hand soft
Yeah.
for his wife. Do you think like they put like Vaseline into a sock and then put it on and like he did with
If
the
I put Vaseline in a sock, it's not for that reason.
okay. Back to the program, folks.
Go to my OnlyFans. That's the one thing I gotta ask though. Nothing about OnlyFans. It's a terrible transition.
Yeah.
Why do you think that doesn't really happen today? Is there anybody who even does this anymore? I mean, even if it's in college, I don't think I mean, I don't hear about
I
it.
think technology got better. In my
Yeah.
mind, I think technology
You
is,
think you think shoes got better too? On top of
I think
that,
shoes got better, the way that you could make a shoe lighter. Like
yeah,
even today, Adidas has and Nike and a lot of those ones you can go in there and like Skechers. We can buy shoes that don't feel like it's anything.
yeah. You
It's
can
not,
literally get a shoe sculpted to your foot,
yeah.
basically.
So you could go to a guy now, they take a digit. I'm guessing, this is what I'm guessing. Uh, you could go to a guy, say, make a digital imprint of my foot. They can do, I don't know the process, but I'm guessing this in my head. Make a 3D print or 3D mold. Then you take it to a shoe manufacturer. The shoe manufacturer says, here's your kicking shoe. And it might
Yeah.
be a size smaller or a half a size smaller than your actual planting shoe. I don't know if there's any kickers out there. Let us know. Send us a message if you've ever
Yeah,
kicked.
that is actually fascinating. Like, if you're a kicker, I don't care what level you're at. Is there a certain way you want the shoe to feel when you're kicking? I bet there's got to be, right?
Yeah, because I know a lot of like offensive linemen and defensive linemen will wear a jersey one or two sizes smaller. So that way nobody can really grab them, even though you're not supposed to.
Yeah.
We all know because we watch sports. You're gonna try and get away with stuff.
Oh yeah, yeah. You got to. That I was just going to brag for a second. I'll follow the Charlotte Hornets on Instagram.
Oh my goodness, Johnny, you just think you're way better than everybody.
I'm sorry. Check out my barbecue restaurant. I
Playing
and
Reba.
they and they'll do like little player profiles,
Yeah,
on every once in a while, where they just ask the players goofy questions just for fun. And I was very upset that we didn't get Scoot this year to draft. We got Miller, but I will say Miller redeemed himself to me when they asked him what his pet peeve was, and his pet peeve is, and I am 1,000,000% behind this, when basketball players, and I'm going to put this as any athlete, wears ankle socks and not the ones that come up way more. That also bugs the
I'm an
living
ankle
crap out of
sock
me.
guy. I'm an ankle sock guy.
Anytime I tried to wear those playing basketball, they'd always slide
Oh, in
down.
basketball,
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't played basketball in years because I don't think my knees.
Oh, I haven't played in years anymore now. My knees would yell at me.
Yeah.
But but I was like, okay, maybe this guy's going to be okay.
So the third best one was Mike Lansford. He played in 124 games, or third big name one. I don't want to say third best, but he played in 124 games. He had 150, made 158 field goals, and made 315 extra points. So, so the Barefoot Kickers died in pretty much the early 90s, but there's a little bit of a controversy I pulled up.
Oh, what's that?
Do you consider this a barefoot kicker? Jeff Wilkins of the St. Louis Rams in 2002, he was having mechanic issues kicking, so he decided that he wasn't going to wear a shoe, but he taped his foot. Is he considered the last barefoot kicker?
Does he tape the whole foot?
He tapes the whole foot. I
He
love
takes the
that.
whole foot
Yeah,
in his hands. He tapes the.
you tell we didn't grow up in a church at all. Um,
Oh man, that is a great question. I guess technically no, because he's covering the foot, right?
let me send you this picture for photographic evidence. But I've found this. I think yesterday when I was at work on break, I was like, huh. And because I work so late, I was like, oh, we're in an hour time difference. So I definitely don't want to be that guy where I'm like, look at this picture. Now I know it's like midnight where you're at, but look at this picture. But then this is better. This is better. Look at his foot. Just sent it to you.
Yeah, I got it. I'm looking now.
You're kind of a true crimes guy,
Yes.
history creeper there. Just do you could I do not, in my personal opinion, I do not. Because I look at guys like Tony Franklin and Rich Carlos and Mike Langsford, they're
In my opinion,
they're
to
all
be
natural.
to be considered barefoot, the whole foot needs to be exposed. In my opinion.
Okay. So
So I think we're in agreement here. I
that
still think that's pretty. I mean, it's different and unique there, and honestly, probably a little smarter because you're still in a way protecting your foot at least a little bit.
yeah,
But yeah, I still don't think that should be considered barefoot. Really, it's bare toed,
it's very even has got a little tape around the toes like you would tape your hand.
like
Okay.
CM Punk or something.
Yeah. Heard he got suspended, but that's that's a different conversation. But that is the one thing I wanted to bring up to you was that supposedly people consider him the last barefoot kicker. But
If
I think you're just
you want to talk about unique kickers, I would say sure, yes,
yeah. Okay. But not barefoot.
but not barefoot. But either way, I mean, kicking on that level is still pretty incredible, barefoot or not.
And we're actually coming up on I think this episode might be released yet. Yes, this episode is going to get released on the anniversary of the very first barefoot kicker.
That's what I'm talking about.
This was not planned at all. This was just research on 9 on September 2nd of 1979. That is when Tony Franklin became the first ever barefoot kicker for the
He
Philadelphia.
graced us with that naked foot of his,
I wonder
and
how
history was made.
like when does the swelling go down?
Yeah, especially during the season, right? Where I mean, you're not just kicking during the games. I'm assuming he's practicing,
You're
right, doing that same thing
practicing,
through the week.
you're doing kickoffs.
Yeah. So I would assume he's just kicking and icing his foot, kicking and then icing his foot constantly.
When you said icing, I'm so fat. I was like, why would he put like that on his foot? But I'm also hungry and didn't eat breakfast, in my defense.
You're making me hungry. All I had was a waffle.
But it is I don't know. I just found this a cool point. It not only is I feel a cool point in NFL history, but it was just a cool point of my childhood to see this because I feel the 80s in the NFL definitely was a changing period, a lot more flamboyant players and everything else. And it just I don't know. This just feels right that it died. Like it started. I feel this is like the really good kind of like a Star Wars, but not really. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like it started in the 70s, started in 79, but it ended and it should have just it stayed down where sometimes in Star Wars you're
Yeah, it should just be an interesting footnote in
like,
history.
ooh, love it. Love it. But I've barefoot kicker will always have a place in my heart as well as in NFL history. I can say that much.
And on their OnlyFans page.
Yeah.
Let's not forget that.
If they start an OnlyFans page, that's going to be hilarious. If it's just them like kicking like 50, 60-yard field goals with none of like the foot fetish stuff, I might actually subscribe to that OnlyFans page just to watch these guys like kick and relive my childhood.
Yeah, because I've never even visited that website. Wink, wink. Never, just like to make references because it's funny. Yeah.
We're gonna before we go, we mentioned Tony Franklin and all his kicking fun.
Great facial hair, by the way.
Yeah, I'm going to mention accolades for Mr. Franklin. So he was a second team All Pro in 1986. That is the year that he played with the Patriots in Super Bowl because he did play in two Super Bowls, one with the Eagles, one with the Patriots. He was a Pro Bowler in 1986, and he also led the NFL in scoring in 1986. And he made the New England Patriots All 80s team.
What do you think the equivalent of a barefoot kicker would be in other sports?
Is it like in basketball if a guy doesn't wear a sleeve now? Or in baseball, a player that doesn't wear batting gloves. I don't think I've really seen anybody just don't wear gloves. Like
Right. I
even
think the no batting gloves, I think, is pretty close, right?
even a wide receiver not wearing gloves
Is weird. Right. Yeah.
is very weird. I can't remember the last one I seen do that, but like I remember Wayne Corbett, he was a wide receiver and he didn't wear gloves, and it was very, very, very odd.
Yeah.
So Rich Carlos, he has no accolades.
Doesn't even exist.
You leave Rich Carlos alone. He won me money.
He's a goat in my
Mike
opinion.
Lansford never did anything. So Tony Franklin, looking at this, is not only the first,
He's the goat
he is the GOAT.
of barefoot kickers. Yeah.
He is the bear hoof kicker GOAT.
Now,
That was really bad, but
now, will there be another? You know, there's always a chance there'll be another. I think, in today's age, I'm not saying it'll happen, but in today's age, it's getting tougher and more difficult to really stand out, especially in pro sports because everybody's just so good, right?
in I think social media too.
Yeah, that it's more difficult. So maybe somebody be like, you know what, I'm going to work on kicking barefoot, and this way I'm going to stand out way more than my counterparts,
I don't
especially if you get good at it. Now, if you get barefoot, you're just terrible. I don't think it really matters.
Yeah, no. I just don't, like I said, with technology and the way that you can, like, Jeff Wilkins, we're talking about mechanics.
Yeah.
That's 2002. That's still a little bit early. But today you can analyze everybody's body movement.
Oh yeah.
Help fix that mechanic. Where
And athletes today literally can put on this, it's like a half shirt looking thing,
Mhm.
and they just run around and do all kinds of different drills in it, and that thing actually just records ridiculous amount of information just based on that about your body and how you're performing. So the tools and stuff that they have now is beyond what they would have thought or comprehended in the 80s.
Yeah. I know Rick Barry talked about that, even though we're talking about football, but Rick Barry talked about that where there's better, not to knock the era, but there's better athletes today, probably most likely because of what technology is available that wasn't there, and what research also that wasn't there in the 50s, 60s, 70s, and all those other eras.
Yeah. Yeah, Rick Barry is really great, and Rick James called me a bitch. That's how that's gone for me with Rick's.
Did Rick James really do that?
I wish he did. Wouldn't that be a great story?
I knew a guy that played bass with Rick James. I used to work with him.
Wow. That's pretty
Yeah.
interesting.
We were like, and then all of a sudden he brought in pictures. We're like, yeah, that's you and Rick James playing. Okay.
But that does sound like one of those stories where somebody's like, hey, this insert famous person's like, yeah, I know them. And you're always like, sure you do, buddy.
Yeah. But it was very interesting when he dropped that on us.
Yeah. Well, it's like, when Matt would always talk about his uncle, and
Oh,
and he would just start naming all these movies that were like vital to my childhood that his uncle was a part of. And like, yeah, sure he is. And then like, yeah, guess what? He really is.
his uncle has an action figure. He's
Yeah.
the only person I know
That's so incredible. Yeah.
that has a relative that has an action figure
That's very, very neat.
and also could probably even at the age of in his 80s could probably still kill me with his bare hands. But
Oh, 1,000,000%. Yeah. So stay tuned for the next episode of this, where we're going to talk about those basketball players who go shirtless. I hate them, and they sweat too much.
oh, every time I think of that, I think of what is that? Along Came Polly.
Oh yes, yeah.
Like,
Now I played a lot, and I do mean a lot, of basketball on the mean streets of George Hildebrand, and um, and in high school especially. And in high school, like they're always like, I'm a big guy. I'm not necessarily fond of taking my shirt off in public, but I can tell you the one thing I always hated was those guys who always, no matter what, would take their shirt off playing basketball,
oh no, man.
and they sweated ridiculous. And there's nothing you could do to guard that, because if you even just barely rub up against them or something like that, you're just soaked, and it's gross. So don't do that. Also, side note, I know this is about barefoot kickers, but did you know that the number 69, nice, is illegal? You can't use it in an NBA.
Yeah, I don't think you can get it on jerseys either, like in the NFL.
Do you know whose fault that is? Well,
Dennis
besides society making it
Dennis
sexual thing.
Rodman.
Dennis Rodman. Yes.
Why would you? This is the first name.
Yeah,
Dennis
yeah.
Rodman.
He was like, hey, I want this as my jersey number. And NBA's like, yeah, no, buddy.
There's only one guy, Dennis
Yeah.
Rodman.
They should have just let him. Who cares?
They should have. Like, whatever.
You know,
guy.
they let the Charlotte Hornets have a jersey this past year. It said CLT on it. So
Where
which
what
is,
is the Bucks with Cream City?
yes. So they can get away with a lot nowadays, I think.
You could have thought of a better way. But that is it. I do believe you do actually have a topic for next episode, though. If you want to.
What was it?
It was the UFO sighting.
Oh yes. This is Andrew's this is the Andrew's hardship with having me as a as a buddy. I have a horrible memory. It's truly awful.
We literally will kind of like they're not even meetings, but we'll pass back and forth topics. And Johnny was like, I want to do this next time. Put this on the list. And
It'll be my idea. And not only is it my idea, but Andrew will send it to me in text form, so I have it, and I'll still forget. So yeah, next time we're going to talk about. There's actually been a few times where something weird's kind of happened during a sporting event, and we're going to cover those from time to time. We're going to talk about that time that a football game was interrupted by a UFO.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Was it soccer? Was it soccer or like football? Football.
it was football.
America,
football.
damn it.
It was American football. Yeah,
Okay, we're in America.
that's right. I'm sure soccer game's been interrupted by something like that.
I'm pretty sure too. But it's definitely going to be interesting.
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating. So stay tuned for that.
Yep. So check us out. YouTube. Still, I just started back up doing the Tecmo Super Bowl season with the Jets, and thank you, Johnny, for picking such a wonderful team. Can't detect the sarcasm.
I just want everybody to know that I don't remember picking it, but
No, he doesn't. He doesn't at all. I just was like, Johnny, pick an NFL team for me to play, and I'm surprised. I think he said the Panthers, and I was like, no, this is from 1991. And
Oh
then
yeah, I remember this.
you were like, yeah, the Jets, and I was like, okay.
And you know why I picked the Jets is I just literally had saw them in the news when you asked that. That's the only reason I said that. Apparently they got a new quarterback or something. I don't know.
Yeah, that's why we talk about sports history.
Yeah, that's right.
But yeah, so check us out there, Facebook, links in the description below, and I'm just gonna kick us out of here right now, barefoot style.
That's right. We're out of here, and it's going field goal.